Hi, I'm Alicia. Today I am sharing another set of bulk cards. This time I'm using the Love Letters collection. I've just used very soft, muted pastel colours. They've got a vintage feel to these cards. Let's take a look at how I made the cards. What I like to do when I'm starting to make a set of bulk cards is I like to decide what I think I might use. Now, this doesn't always work out. Sometimes I change my mind. Often I change my mind and I might replace something or add something. But I do like to start the process by going through my stash and grabbing the things out that I think are going to work. It's kind of like a mood board for my cards. So with this Love Letters collection by Mintay, I've chosen the 6x6 scrapbooking paper pad, and I have cut this down. I have chosen this page here, which has a lot of fussy cutting on it, and I've just cut out all of those elements over here. Lots and lots of bits there. I've also selected 2 of the number 6 papers and I fussy cut out each one of these images, and I also on the other page fussy cut out each one of those frames. So I've put all of the frames here, which is 12 altogether, and then I've put all of those fussy cut bits in there. So I'm going to make 12 cards. I've chosen this card base mainly because it's cream and I feel like this collection has a vintage feel to it. So I'm going with the cream based cardstock. Also because I have heaps of these cards in my stash that I can use up. I'm thinking I'm going to ink the edges of the card to give it that distressed feel. So I've got the Kaisercraft bark ink. I've got my paper doilies, which I love to use on cards. I've got some wooden sentiments that I thought might go nicely on these cards. So I've grabbed a few of those out. I've got this little bunch of flowers, which to me just really matches in quite nicely to the collection. They were just on my desk, not put away. And then I have this beautiful ribbon by my scrap cabin shop, Etsy. And I feel that maybe I could go the pink, maybe I could go the cream, maybe I could go both, but they both seem to work quite nicely with these cards. So there's my little mood board of what I'm sort of trying to use. I may even use my sewing machine to give a little bit more of an extra vintage feel to the cards. And who knows what else I'll use. Probably maybe some little pearl, some of those little pearl flower centers. Some of these might be nice in the middle of the flower centers. Or maybe even some of these little flowers. So I've got them out as well. A little bit of decoration later. So once I've sort of collected all of this stuff on my desk, I'm basically ready to start. So now you'll have 12 of your 2" by 5" rectangles. And you're also going to have 12 of your 5 by 4 inch rectangles. This is what we're going to make our cards with. Take a base card and you're going to choose one of your 5 by 4 inch rectangles and one of your 2 by 5 inch rectangles, and these are actually going to overlap like that. So what you might like to do now is what I sort of tend to do is lay them all out in front of me so that I can pick the best papers that match. So let's put out our 12 cards. Now we're looking for different sort of papers. Like, I wouldn't put that and that together because that's too similar a design. So I'd put that over here with maybe something more plain. And the same with this. This is a very busy design, so I don't want to put that with something like that. So it's just too much. Put that with something more like that. And then you've got the quill matching the quill there. Now this one can go with a busy design, or it could go with maybe this one, or maybe this one. This is more of a contrast. The next step now is to attach the two papers together. Now I'm overlapping the smaller strip on top of the bigger rectangle, but you could do it that way if you wanted to. I'm thinking I'm going to stitch on my sewing machine down this gap here. So I'm not going to use double-sided tape because that can get a little bit gluey with the needle of the sewing machine. So all I'm going to do is just put a line of glue down here, and then I'm going to just stick that on like that. Because it's going to be sewed later, we don't need a huge amount of adhesive, but we do need to measure carefully that we've got an even border all the way around the edge. And then you just go through and do that for all of the cards. So my plan is to go through now and do some sewing on my sewing machine down through that section there. I haven't glued that down to my base card yet. There's two reasons for that. The first reason is that it's going to be very thick if I have to sew down through this thickness and this thickness, and that might be a little bit too much for my sewing machine. The second reason is if I did do that, when I open the card I'd see the sewing down there. Now you might like that look or you might not, but I think I'll prefer to sew this section first and then I'm going to glue it down. Before I do sew it though, I did want to give my cards a vintage edge, so what I'm going to do is use this broken ink pad to just edge around my cards before I sew them, and this just gives a lovely vintage feel to the cards. I've set my sewing machine to the zigzag stitch. It's hard for me to get the camera to pick that up, but it's just a zigzag stitch all the way down the join. Okay, so the next job is just to simply glue that to the base of your card. Okay, and when I do use this glue, I do like to just put it under something heavy as it's drying, because that just makes it dry nice and flat. So what I've done is I've gone through and pasted down all of those base papers onto the cardstock. So now these cards are ready to be decorated and embellished. I've had a little think about my design. I realized if I was going to use my paper doily, which I often use, you're not going to see my zigzag stitching. So if you are not going to do any stitching on your cards, you could easily put your paper doily on there. But seeing I have gone to the effort of doing all my stitching, I'm not going to use a paper doily on this set of cards. Instead, I found in my stash this gorgeous vintage lace that it's actually from my grandmother's sewing collection, and I don't know how old it could be 50 years old. I kind of feel bad about using it, but at the same time, I think she would want me to use it. And it's just going to work in perfectly with these cards. So I've changed my design a little bit. So I'm planning on doing a strip of vintage lace horizontally across each card. Then I'm going to layer with the fussy cut frame, which I'm going to ink around the edges of that. Then I'm going to layer with a fussy cut image from their 12 by 12 sheet, depending on what that is. And then I've cut out a little bow from my crinkled ribbon in the cream. I'm going to sit that under there with my flower, and I've got a little pearl center, flower center. And then I'm going to just probably have a natural wood chipboard sentiment. So I think that's the plan. And I mean, these cards are very, very simple. Like, this is not difficult, but it doesn't really look like it needs too much more. If I wanted to, I can add a butterfly, because there's a lot of butterflies in this collection, so I could put a little butterfly in on some cards if I felt like it needed a little bit more embellishment. And then I've got those tiny little pearl flowers that I can sprinkle around, which really decorate a card nicely. So that is my plan. I have changed my design a little bit, which is what usually happens. And now it's just, I'm up to putting it all together. So the first step for me would be to glue down the vintage lace and ink all of these. So I'll get started on that. Okay, so I've had a lovely time creating these cards so far, and now I am up to choosing a sentiment for each card, and remembering that this collection certainly would suit for Valentine's Day or a wedding anniversary card, or it could just be a friendship card. So it's a very, very versatile collection. So I'm just going to use a variety of sentiments. Butterflies are the easiest because they'll just go in this corner here, which will balance it out beautifully. The birds that are going this way can easily go here with a little bit of
I hope you enjoyed that tutorial for a bulk set of cards using Mintay's Love Letters collection. It's a beautiful collection and I really enjoyed playing with it and creating these cards. I hope that you enjoyed it too, and I'd love to see your take on this project. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely crafty day.